You know, when we think about youthfulness, most of us probably jump straight to, well, anti-aging creams, maybe defying wrinkles. But what if there's something much deeper going on, a kind of vitality that's more holistic, even, profoundly spiritual?
That's precisely the angle we're exploring today on the deep dive.
Hmm.
It's a really fascinating perspective looking at enduring radiance, vitality, through the lens of Islamic teachings.
Okay. So our mission today, for you, the listener, is to sort of unpack how things like inner peace, spiritual aliveness, this holistic well-being,
Yeah.
how they're understood to actually manifest outwardly, subtly maybe, but in a way that gives this perception of vitality that doesn't always match the calendar.
Exactly. And we'll be diving into the primary sources here, Quranic verses, their classical interpretations, authentic hadith, the prophetic traditions, and established scholarly commentary. So yeah, get ready for maybe a few aha moments along the way.
All right, let's get into it. When we use this term youthfulness in an Islamic context, what are we really talking about? It sounds like it's not just skin deep.
Oh, absolutely not. It's far from superficial. This perspective basically says that true vitality, real vibrancy, is tied directly to a deep state of inner peace, spiritual aliveness, and just overall holistic well-being. And this inner state, it subtly but, perceptibly shows up in how someone carries themselves, their outward demeanor. It's less about stopping natural aging and more about maintaining optimal function, that inner vibrancy throughout life.
Okay, so a truly holistic view then. I understand the sources really emphasize how interconnected everything is, the physical body, the mind, emotions, the spiritual core. And there's this concept of the body being a divine trust and amana. What does that mean practically?
That's such a key point. Seeing the body as a divine trust, an amana, it elevates taking care of it, becomes an act of worship, a really profound one. So being diligent about your health isn't just, self-care, it's a religious duty. And right at the center of this whole integrated system, body, mind, soul, is the qalb, the heart. There's a really important hadith about this. There is a piece of flesh in the body, and if it becomes good, reformed, the whole body becomes good. But if it becomes corrupt, the whole body becomes corrupt. That piece is the heart.
Wow. Okay, so the heart is central. If that's the case, what does having a healthy, spiritually vibrant heart actually mean for how we perceive youthfulness? How does that connection work outwardly?
It means that a youthful appearance isn't just seen as, a superficial thing. It's understood as a direct outward sign, a manifestation of a heart that's healthy, tranquil, spiritually alive. So cultivating things like inner purity, contentment, that's Rito serenity, sakina, and that deep inner peace, the minan, that becomes a direct pathway, maybe subtle but direct, to looking and feeling more radiant, vital, and, well, enduringly youthful. So for you, the listener, the takeaway is that the real quest for vitality, it starts from within.
That really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? But okay, how do these deep inner states actually create this inner glow people talk about? How does it radiate out? Can we look at specific practices?
Definitely. One of the absolute cornerstones is piety, or Taqwa. And
Mhm.
this isn't just about like ticking boxes with rituals. It's a
Yeah.
really deep state of God consciousness, mindfulness, a sort of reverent awareness of his pleasure and displeasure, deep love for him, and importantly, disciplined self-restraint. This Taqwa is what's understood to cultivate an inner light, a kind of spiritual light or nur.
An inner light. Noor. How does the Quran talk about this? Does it describe how this light might actually show up, maybe on someone's face?
It does, quite vividly, actually. In Surah Al-Qiyamah, verses 22 and 23, it talks about faces in the hereafter that will be bright. The word is nadira. And that means shining, luminous, fresh, resplendent, beaming with joy. Now, okay, that's primarily about the next life. But our sources, the scholars, note that this nur, this spiritual glow, can subtly manifest right here in this life too. And it transcends, how many years you've lived. And just to challenge our usual ideas about aging even more, think about this hadith regarding gray hair. It says, gray hair, which results from old age, is the light of the believer. Every single gray hair that one has while being a Muslim will gain him a reward and will cause him to be elevated 1 degree. So it's specifically called light in the face.
Wait, really? Gray hair, the thing we usually see as the sign of getting older, is considered beautiful?
Yeah.
A source of spiritual light? That's a definite aha moment right there.
Exactly. True youthfulness, from this perspective, isn't about not having signs of physical aging. It's defined by the presence of that spiritual light, that nur and good deeds. So someone might have gray hair, wrinkles even, but their whole presence, their countenance, can radiate this deep, enduring beauty and vitality that comes directly from their spiritual journey.
Okay, that's powerful. Now, thinking about things that detract from vitality, We all know chronic stress can make us feel and maybe look older. Does Islam offer a specific spiritual antidote to stress?
It certainly does, and it's seen as crucial. Chronic stress, anxiety, they're definitely recognized as things that can accelerate aging. The primary antidote offered is Dhikr, the remembrance of Allah. This isn't just a one-off thing, it's a continuous act of worship, a practice meant to cultivate profound inner peace.
Right, I remember the verse in Surah Arad 13.28, those who believe and whose hearts find rest in the remembrance of Allah, verily in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest.
Right.
The sources really emphasize that, don't they? That nothing else quite brings that lasting tranquility to the heart.
They really do. Shaykhul Islam Ibn Taymiyyah had this incredibly powerful analogy. He said, the heart's need for dhikr is like a fish's need for water. So what will be the state of a fish when isolated from the water? It's that essential. And interestingly, scholars specifically point out that one form of dhikr, tahajjud, which is the voluntary night prayer, is said to bring light to one's face.
So there is, again, a direct, almost observable physical effect stemming from that internal tranquility achieved through a spiritual practice. That's fascinating. What about just our general outlook, how we approach life day to day? How does that play into this idea of vitality?
That's where gratitude, shukr, becomes so important. It's presented as a highly transformative spiritual state. It cultivates its inherently positive outlook and, crucially, resilience.
There's that verse in Surah Ibrahim 14.34, and if you should count the favor of Allah, you could not enumerate them. It really drives home how much there's to be grateful for if we just pay attention.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the flip side is a persistent lack of gratitude. That feeling of chronic dissatisfaction can really wear you down, speeding up the aging process through that constant internal stress. Gratitude, on the other hand, it fosters positivity, resilience. It kind of reduces the internal wear and tear that emotional burdens put on the body. And that contributes to a more vibrant, less strained look, ultimately a more youthful outward appearance. So for you, the listener, thinking about gratitude, it's not just, good for the soul in an abstract way. It's like a protective buffer, psychologically and spiritually, against the visible toll of life's difficulties.
Okay, so it's very clear how these core spiritual practices, Taqwa, Dhikr, Shukr, connect to this inner and outer radiance. But what about just our daily life, our habits? How does Islam guide those for sustained vitality?
Well, that leads us right into the principle of moderation, or wasatiyah. This is really a foundational idea in Islam, advocating for balance, a middle path in pretty much all aspects of life.
Right. The Quran calls Muslims an upright community, a middle nation in Surah Al-Baqarah. And there's that verse in Surah Al-Qasas about striving for the hereafter, but importantly, not forgetting your share of this world. It's about balance.
Exactly. And this principle of moderation, wasatiyah, it touches everything. Mindful eating, eat and drink, but do not waste, from Surah Al-Araf. Worship finding that intermediate way in prayer, as mentioned in Surah Al-Isra. Even things like finances. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, summed it up so well. The best of affairs are the moderate ones.
Okay, let's unpack that connection to vitality. How does just living moderately help preserve youthfulness?
It's actually quite practical. Extremes, whether it's overworking, overindulging, even sometimes excessive asceticism, they lead to imbalance, stress, eventually breakdown, all things that visibly age us. So a life lived with consistent moderation, it reduces that chronic physical and mental strain. It helps prevent burnout. It fosters sustainable energy and well-being over the long haul. It's a really practical, actionable principle, deeply embedded in the Islamic lifestyle, that act as an underlying factor for preserving that sense of vitality.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like a sustainable life philosophy. Now, you mentioned the body earlier as a trust, an amana. How does Islam specifically guide us in caring for this physical trust for overall well-being?
Right. The body being a sacred trust from Allah makes taking care of it, like we said, a profound religious duty. And this covers the basics: diet, fitness, hygiene, all of it.
So things like choosing healthy food or getting exercise, they're not just personal choices. They actually carry spiritual weight. I know the Quran encourages eating good things and warns against wastefulness. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, gave that really specific advice about eating. Fill only a third with food, a third with drink, leave a third for breath. That's pretty direct guidance.
It absolutely is. It directly connects healthy habits to acts of worship. And there's also emphasis on physical strength. Remember the hadith, a strong believer is better and dearer to Allah than a weak believer. Physical capability is valued. And hygiene, of course, is fundamental. Cleanliness is half of faith, is a well-known saying. So yeah, this perspective really imbues those everyday choices about your physical health with a sense of divine purpose and blessing. Your gym routine, your healthy meal, they can become acts of devotion.
That's a really fantastic way to look at it for our listener, reframing that daily grind into something sacred.
Yeah.
Okay, one last area regarding daily life. How does Islam help manage the inevitable stresses and challenges life throws at us?
Well, Islam provides a pretty robust framework for emotional resilience and stress management. We keep coming back to stress because, as we know, chronic stress really does accelerate aging and diminish vitality.
And the Quran does promise believers who do good deeds a good life, hayatan tayyiba in Surah An-Nahl. That surely includes inner peace and emotional stability, right?
Exactly. Teachings like putting your trust in Allah, tawakkul, exercising patience, sabr, maintaining gratitude, shukr even in difficulty, and accepting the divine decree, qadar, these form a powerful toolkit. Stressful situations are often framed as tests from Allah, opportunities designed to purify the soul, increase reliance on Him. So hardship can actually be transformed into a means of spiritual growth and elevation. This kind of spiritual resilience helps minimize the long-term aging effects of chronic worry, grief, anxiety. It contributes to maintaining that vibrant, serene appearance that reflects inner strength, not just lack of hardship.
Now, this next concept is really unique and interesting. Baraka, what exactly is that? It sounds like more than just blessing.
It really is profound. Baraka signifies divine blessing, yes, but also abundance, goodness, a sort of positive increase. Some scholars describe it almost like a hidden soldier of the soul. The idea is that when Allah puts baraka into something, whether it's time, food, wealth, effort, even a person's being, it causes a kind of spiritual chemical reaction. This results in a benefit or goodness that seems to defy normal logic or calculation.
Okay, can you give an example? How might someone experience baraka in a way that relates to this vitality we're discussing?
Sure. A classic example is food prepared for just a few people, miraculously being enough for many more, sometimes even with leftovers. Or maybe you only have a short amount of time, but you get an incredible amount done, far more than seems possible. That's baraka in time. The source material we looked at specifically mentions that baraka can bring welcome life, energy, blessings directly into a person's being. So it's seen as this tangible, though often subtle, manifestation of divine favor. It can genuinely enhance vitality, energy levels, overall demeanor, contributing to that perceived youthfulness that seems beyond just chronological age. It's a deep, often unseen mechanism through which spiritual alignment can translate into very real physical and temporal benefits.
Wow, what a deep dive this really has been. It's become so clear that this idea of looking or feeling younger than your age, in the Islamic context, it's absolutely not superficial. It's deeply rooted in a truly holistic understanding where the spiritual, the mental, emotional, and physical are all intricately woven together.
Indeed. The fundamental factors driving this enduring youthfulness, this vitality, are primarily spiritual. But they manifest tangibly through these divine blessings like baraka and through living a consciously balanced life. It boils down to that inner light of taqwa, the calm center found in Dhikr, the positive resilience of shukr, the sustainable balance of wasatiyah, taking care of the body as that sacred amana, and the strength drawn from trust in Allah. And all of these can potentially be amplified by this divine multiplier effect of baraka.
So for you, the listener, wrapping this all up, this journey we've explored isn't just about appearances, not at all. It's really a comprehensive spiritual path that offers the potential for profound inner peace, deep contentment, genuine fulfillment. It's a path towards a kind of vitality that seems, in many ways, to defy time itself.
And perhaps a final thought to leave you with. Consider this: what aspect of your own daily life, something you might have previously seen as just mundane or routine, could you now approach differently? Could you see it instead as a pathway toward cultivating deeper vitality and a more enduring, radiant sense of well-being, rooted in these principles we've discussed?